Hey guys, it's Jay Rosé here, back again with another video, and we're here for the quote of the day. Sometimes things don't need to be fixed; they just need to be understood. This is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. That means this one should be a good one for you guys. You guys like, comment, subscribe. You guys have a great day. Stay tuned, stay focused, and stay on your craft. And you guys have a great day. All right, guys. So we're doing another episode of the podcast.
This one's episode 5, in case you guys don't know how to count.
Okay,
Yeah.
so this one is some very, very important. It's Men's Mental Health Awareness Month.
Is that appropriate?
Maybe.
Okay.
So we're gonna do a couple of topics today. We're gonna speak to you guys and give you a little bit of a view on life. It's pretty lonely right now for men, and statistically speaking, we're at a male loneliness epidemic. So
Epidemic.
that is
Loneliness.
insane to say. Epidemic. That sounds like some kind of zombie apocalypse thing. But
Like the COVID.
maybe we might be feeling like zombies right now. You know what I'm saying? We're kind of just dead bodies walking around.
It's the new strand of COVID. You got the COVID 38.
That's insane. So, right now, most men feeling alone. You know what I'm saying? Counter, are you feeling alone?
Honestly, I do feel alone. However, I don't feel alone all the time because I got all my wonderful subscribers on this channel and everybody who's gonna come up and view our stories and everything. So what can I say? Yeah. So thank you guys. You guys help me feel one person less lonely.
So, Kevin, do you feel alone?
Only on Wednesdays.
That's insane.
Why?
Because I don't see you guys.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's
That-
crazy.
well, I just want you to know, man. Despite what anything happens or whatever happens in the future, whichever one of us gets canceled first, I love you.
I love you too, bro.
And
You too, Justin. I love you too.
for me, personally, I feel great in solitude. But when it comes to being alone, I guess it'd be alright. Kevin?
Yes, your boy did the outline for this video.
The outline.
Yes, I created the outline because Men's Mental Health Awareness Month is a really important month, guys. We have to acknowledge that they're not allowed to express their feelings, but guys feel something too.
Right now, I'm feeling hungry.
All right.
The main point of Men's Mental Health Awareness Month that we wanted to talk about was depression. Depression is one of the most common things a lot of people tend to suffer. We all know you guys seen hundreds of dating videos of how to get girls. So that's like probably one of the bigger things.
So today we're gonna tell you how to get girls. Look, no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
But now we decided to do something different because everyone tends to do that. That's why you see hundreds of videos of how to get women.
I mean,
So-
we already referenced the other ones we did, so
Yes, you can watch those videos if you
Yeah,
want
you
to.
want you watch those other videos if you want to.
Everyone tends to be different and experiences different things.
Mhm.
So each one of us is going to tell you our points and what we think the biggest cause or leading thing of depression is when it comes to men. So we're going to start with the man himself, Super Saiyan Rose J. What do you think the leading cause of men being depressed is?
So, I wanted to hit the points on why men may feel depressed, disconnected from the world. Maybe because a lot of times we're told what we should feel instead of asked how we feel. So, the system often teaches men that they need to earn their love, to earn their keep, to earn where they're being at. And that is very much true. But they're not often given the resources. They're not able to receive those things in a way that might make them feel in place of the world. So, for instance, right, you're told that you have to earn your keep when it comes to having a place, being in a business, but you're not told explicitly how to keep that and how to do it with respect or get that respect from others. And that may make you feel like you're losing a lot of ambition and intimacy when it comes to those moments. So I feel as though you should probably feel like you're not being punished for things such as being connected to others or, in places of business or worship, or even in relationships, women. And that typically is probably why you feel a bit disconnected from things. Because, like, the modern man is told to be strong and is not allowed to be seen. So, you're told to keep your strength up, but nobody ever really sees the hard work you do. They see the destination and not the journey. They don't really care about how you got there. They care about what you are. There's different ways to say it, but ultimately, you should really not look for the validation in others and keep it for yourself. Any questions?
No, I think that was very, very well said.
That was well explained and detailed.
Yeah, put that on Watch Mojo.
Top 10 J. Rosé quotes.
I think also you should not be chasing attention. When I say that, I mean validation, attention. So, like, from different people, a lot of times we're chasing validation in the sense that we need people to give us their emotions and all this other stuff when we're not really good at expressing those things. So for Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, I would say a lot of times you need to give out your emotions and not just receive them. And that doesn't mean sadness. That doesn't mean anger.
Rage.
Necessarily. Rage.
Danger.
Yeah.
Violence.
Yeah, violence. I think, like, you should be able to express yourself without all those things, but not necessarily always feel like people control what you have to say. So if you feel like you want a shorter person to be a part of your life, then that's the way it is.
So do you purposely have me in your life because I am short? Is that literally
No,
the sole purpose of me?
No, I'm saying, like, if you want that sort of thing, people shouldn't be able to tell you how you feel like that.
Don't tell me how to feel.
That's fair. But that's because a lot of places, a lot of things men want, generally speaking, is really condemned, even though in a lot of ways other people's wants are very shallow too. Or shallow in general, or I'd argue more shallow.
Can I get an example, please?
So, for instance, height.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Wanting someone who's tall.
Okay.
And then also for us, for instance, in a lot of ways, we want people to be fit, but we're condemned for things that we want, while other people get to get things they want. So I feel like as a man, when we speak our opinion, we're really condemned for that. That's why I say we always
demonized.
Yeah, we're demonized.
Mr. Calikachi, could you name one standard for you?
Wait, we're talking about women?
No, like the girl you
In
would
general.
prefer to date, like just in general.
Like
What
a
is-
standard that you want that you feel like you'd be condemned for having, not necessarily about women.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm already thinking about it.
I mean, you could say one, just one.
Race. No.
Okay.
I
mean, that's fine.
I mean, like,
cool.
is it bad to prefer like a certain? I don't know. I
Not
don't know.
really.
I mean, I'm like whatever.
I mean, that's just your preference. I'm like, that's cool.
But that's just one. It's not like a main preference.
So,
though. It's not like a
for
deal
instance, I'm not gonna go way too deep into that because then
That's a whole different video.
I'm not gonna dig us into a rabbit hole with that one. But for instance, if you like a certain look in the people that you're hiring, or if you want a relationship out of somebody and you want a certain look out of them, you shouldn't be condemned for that look as long as it is legal. So,
yeah, 100%.
if for instance Keontae is dating a Asian girl,
Filipino.
Filipino, then he shouldn't be condemned for that. I think if he wants somebody who's shorter than him, he shouldn't be condemned for that. Now, if somebody wants someone who's taller than them, they shouldn't also be condemned for that. But in this world, men's feelings are also felt as controlling and pressure and power, instead of seeking a sort of understanding of why they may want those things. You're always trying to guesstimate why they want those things and not just accepting them for who they are. So, for instance, if Keontae wants that, he should be able to get it. Should he condemn others who are not of those things? No. But
That's his preference.
If he wants those things, that's his preference. I think, like I said, social media and all these other factors like followers and all this other stuff has gotten men to sort of lose their values or push it to other values that they didn't typically have before. So, online they'll tell you, you should have this thing, you should want this thing, but if you speak against me when you want this thing, then you're a bad person.
You're terrible. You're a bigot. You're a misogynist.
So
you're a man.
So
most men, I feel, don't want followers. They want to be understood. Is that right?
you said don't want followers?
Or people, we don't want validation. We just want to be understood.
Yeah, but it would be nice to have our feelings validated, though.
I would say
Not necessarily agreed with, but validated.
I would say, well,
Because at least you're
I feel like
hearing
in
it
a
out.
sense it's kind of the same thing
Not really.
online.
Can I get an example, please?
So, I would say what it comes from is, like, for instance, on social media, right? A lot of the values that men have that aren't trying to be a white knight or, speak in like a sort of uncontroversial way. They'll
Tiptoeing around.
Yeah, tiptoeing around it or trying to be contrarian just to be contrarian to popular belief. I feel as though people, when they speak their feelings, a lot of men might understand what you're saying. If you're, for instance, Keontae, and he's working out and he's speaking about how he works out and that's his only life's purpose. I'm not saying that is, but I'm saying, like, for example, then he would be condemned for doing those things like, people should be okay with being who they are. People shouldn't achieve this body. It's a new level of body that nobody can really achieve because he's probably taking steroids. They always have to find a way to trivialize the work that he's done because they can't get to that level. But they can't just accept him for who he is and understand that he may have gotten there just by working hard on himself.
Like an industry plant?
Yeah, they always have to trivialize you in some way instead of just saying, hey, he made his bag.
Or kind of like,
So they demonize.
like how celebrities are sometimes, like, if a celebrity's like rich and they're flexing their money, whatever, but then people are like hating them because, okay, well, what the heck, you're showing all this money, I hate rich people. But then they got to realize that at some point everybody started from zero, and I mean,
yeah, like,
it could be anybody.
I'm not saying they're disrespecting like the grind per se, but they're disrespecting.
They're undermining it.
They're
for
undermining.
Sure.
Yeah, they're undermining your grind. So like they'll tell you what you should. They'll tell you what you should be doing to get there instead of just accepting the way you got there. Like, for instance, I see online like people going like, oh, you should want. Not saying you should, you should or shouldn't do this, but I'm saying like, oh, you should want, I don't know, for instance, girls with kids. They tell you should want that thing instead of just accepting that some men don't want it and some people do. Like, Keontae might want it, Kevin might not want it.
Yeah.
For different reasons, he might be okay with it. He may have his own kid and might just want to integrate them in the family.
So like I could date somebody who's 4'11" because I'm not tall, and that's okay. And
Yeah.
he wants somebody who's 5'5" or taller.
Because you could simply say, you can agree to disagree. Like, simply, I could say to him, if he said he like 4'11" women, I could simply say it's not my thing, personally, but you can do your own thing.
But other people will be like, oh, so you like the bodies of 10-year-olds. And you're like, well, what the hell?
Yeah.
Like,
No,
it's
guys,
like,
I'm just not tall, so it's okay. It's not that bad for me.
Yeah, I'm about to say, they're short, they're skinny,
It's like,
why
yeah.
do you want them like that, or like, why are you running your business like this? Why?
You know what?
Why?
How's your business going? How's your business going? Oh wait, you don't have one.
Or like, for instance, speaking out for people like that are like us, they'll say like, for Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, why don't you just do it yourself then? Why don't you just organize this yourself?
Yep, and here we are. Hi guys, we're here.
We're organizing it for you guys. We're speaking out for you. So, I think you should be able to say how you want to say it, and then you should be able to keep it in your own community or space if you feel as though you should do that. Now, I'm not saying people can't critique what you're doing or saying, but I feel like they should do it in a place of like actually trying to see you improve your craft. And if they don't agree with it,
That's cool.
that's cool.
There's more stuff to watch.
You can say I personally just don't agree, but so and so and so and so. But saying, why are you doing it like this? Why are you running it like this? Hating and showing that you can't really cope with the fact that they're doing things the way they do it, then that's just not the way to do it.
Just kills the energy.
It kills the energy.
Takes the fun out of it.
It takes the fun out of it for us.
Yeah.
We're trying to build ourselves. You can't build your self-worth from borrowed mirrors. That's what I think. So
I like that. Keep that one. That one's cool.
Okay. So my next point. I think there's some core things that you should believe in that you should go with if you're in this position. Mm-hmm. So right now, if you're lonely out there, like most men are at this moment in time, I think you should reframe that. You should reframe things you can't control. Like, for instance, loneliness isn't a form of exile, although we like to call ourselves the other guys. It doesn't make us outside of everybody else so that we can't integrate with other people. It's a form of evolution. It's your time to work on yourself. It's your time to find your belief system, find your purpose, find what you want to be in life, find your completeness, find your fulfillment. It's your place to do those things. Love the fate that you have. It's your time to take into account where you want to be in your life if you haven't found your life's purpose, or if you have found your life's purpose, find the structure to get there. So I think you should reframe maybe why you might be alone, or if you want to fix the fact that you're alone, find your friends, find people to be around, find your girlfriend, talk to your family more.
I want to be around you guys.
That's fine. That's perfectly fine.
I thought he was going to say no.
What's up?
No.
No, that's crazy. He has the ability to do that. You know what? I also think life is short. If you spend your time not worrying about where you're trying to be at in life, if you haven't found that purpose, life is short, guys. Honestly. One moment you're 10, next moment you're 15, next moment you're 20, next moment you're 25. You got to figure out where you want to be in life. And even if that's a short-term purpose, that's fine, but you should find a long-term purpose. So all those skills that you bring up trying to get, you can build it towards something even greater. Because eventually, you will succumb to your fate and pass away. And you want to leave something for the people that have brought you up, or the people that you're trying to leave something for in the future. So I think that should also be a thing you should be worried about too in this world. Not saying you have to do those things, but if you want to be a person, well, how to say this, an active person in society, I believe you should leave something out to the world.
Like these videos.
And
you can leave out these likes and subscribes to us.
Somebody might see these and think to themselves, I gained some value from these conversations. We're not telling you what you should be going for, but maybe give you a little structure or a little discipline or a little purpose on where you might want to be in life. We might dick around sometimes. We might, you might go around the point, but interestingly enough, we try and give you a little bit of something in your life if you may not be feeling that way. We're 25 I'm 24, he's 24, he's 25, and we're trying to give you a little bit more in life to work with. So, I think also, guys, you should focus on things you should only want to control. So, for instance, Keontae, do you feel like you have a control over a lot of things in your life?
Absolutely.
Kevin, do you feel like you have a lot of control over things in your life?
Not my height.
Okay.
Yeah,
let's start off with that.
It'd be like that sometimes. Well, you kind of do, like not your height.
You think I choose to be this height?
Hey, not like by choice, but you always got that leg surgery.
So
that is true. I'll give him that.
Here's the thing, right? He can't control his height, but what he can do is reframe the way people see him. Focus on what you can control. He can't control how tall he is. Yeah, he can go get the surgery. Yeah, he can do all these things. But that's an unnatural way of doing things. Why would you go so far out of the natural way of being to be a taller man when you can just accept the way you are and people will see you that way?
If I am a short, ugly, socially awkward person, I'm just going to be a tall, ugly, socially awkward person.
No, but if you carry yourself in a way that people will be like, man, okay, you
Yeah,
probably
but at that
appear
point-
taller than
At that point, you wouldn't need the surgery.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. Like, you can control your fitness. You can control how you work, your work ethic. You can control how you speak, what you look like. You can control yourself. You cannot control things outside of yourself.
You know what's wild? I didn't realize that my height was actually not that great for like the longest time, and I was like, oh,
Hey,
I'm below average. That's crazy.
For instance, me, I'm 5'10". I may be above average, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm where people want me to be, even if I'm above that average height. Because how they perceive me, a lot of people don't even know what height is until you explain it to them. Like, hey, oh, you look 6 feet, but really you're like 5'11" or 6'2" or 6'3". So people might trivialize that for him. You may be fit as hell, but they can't see it through that boxy shirt that you got on, or those baggy jeans, or like those, or like skinny jeans. They might not be able to see the figure that you're trying to show, or in your room, right? They may see the inside of your room, and it may not be all the way finished, but the outside, you may have an infinity pool, you may have a Ferrari outside, you may have all these different things. So focus on what you can control. Try and reframe things in your life to sort of help, I guess,
yeah, guys.
help the outside world understand who you are. So, like, for instance,
wait.
outside of yourself,
I got an example.
Things.
All right, guys. This is I am short. I'm going to reframe that to, you know what? I can fit in any luxury sports car in the world. Any.
or how I would like to say it, I might be 5'8", but the average for the world I think is 5'7", right? Or
like
5'5". Well, for the world, the United States is 5'9". I'm below average of the United States. However, the world is like what 5'5", 5'7". I think I looked that up. I'll put that up somewhere.
I'm average.
So,
However, I told myself, hey, that means I'm the tallest of the shortest, and the shortest of the tallest.
Outside of height, let's talk about careers, right? Mm-hmm. So, for instance, let's say you're trying to become somebody a part of, like, for FBI. If you don't have an accounting degree, you're technically not going straight there. But that isn't to say you don't have the skills, that you can't get the skills outside of those things to outsource yourself, right? You can outsource those skills in that area to go to the area you're trying to be. You may not directly be getting those skills from the area of expertise that they need you to have them at, but you can reframe the skills that you do have for that job. So, for instance, I've never done YouTube before. I've never done YouTube before, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Before this channel, I've never been on a YouTube video.
Mm-hmm.
Well, before his channel, my bad. But I've never been on a YouTube video where I've been the part of the centerpiece of that video. And
well,
continue.
I believe that for that purpose, I have different things that can help me sort of contemplate maybe the points that I would bring to this video. For instance, I have points right here that I would say right now, but purposely, I probably have never done this before. I've never spoken outside on a video like this before and really been the centerpiece of it. I've never looked in the camera like this before. I've never set up these sort of lights. I've never set up this TV. I've never set up this sort of thing. I've never even had a room like this, a studio like this. But
I'm doing better than most.
I have skills and people around me to get me to that place. That's how I believe it to be. I also think there's another belief that I kind of need to go into.
Okay.
Kevin, how much time have you spent, being a mechanic?
I'm doing the math. Give me a second. I'm doing the math. 4 or 5 years now. 4 or 5.
Keontae, how long have you been working security?
Regrettably, about 6, almost 7 years.
All right, Kevin, do you want to be a mechanic for the rest of your life? If that means you make the money and, if you make the money to support the family that you probably want.
Does it have to be automobiles or can it be anything?
Anything.
I wouldn't, but I'd make the best of it if that's what it came to.
Would you do it all again?
Yeah, bro, I ain't gonna lie to you. It's amazing how much people pay for simple things, man. It's wild to me. It is extremely crazy.
So, Keontae, Would you do it all again?
No, I just wouldn't. I mean, I'd do a different path. I'd try to venture out into something I may have wanted to do a little bit more other than security.
What did you want to do at the time?
YouTube.
Okay.
And also,
Do you think most of your pain comes from the fact that you think you're too late on that project? So, like, did you feel like you were just, do you feel like you're too late now?
I'm gonna be real. For my whole life, not necessarily my whole life, YouTube wasn't always the thing. Before it was being an actor. Then when I realized you can actually do stuff on YouTube, I was like, yo, I can do stuff on YouTube like this? Hold up.
Yes, sir.
When I was in 10th grade, I recorded my first student film and whatnot, and that also kind of brought me into the whole YouTube esque type of thing. Like, okay, I can put myself out there, put my soul in a video, and somehow people like it, and I could just make money off of it as well. Doing something that I like, that's also pretty cool. When I was younger, I never expected to work security, or I had never expected to work at all. I always told myself, like, I'm gonna do YouTube, I'm gonna make it, and stuff like that. And you could constantly tell people, like, yeah, I'm gonna make it, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. Back then, YouTube, though, it was not like that acceptable of a job. If I would have told my mom or a teacher, I want to be a YouTuber, they would have been like, all right, so what do you want to do for real, though? Nowadays, it's like, okay, you can actually do this. Oh, people making money off of podcasting. Yeah, you should do that, bro. But back then, it was like, okay, you gotta hide what you really want to do because you're scared of what people would say and stuff like that. I mean, heck, that was me. When I was making YouTube videos when I was 20, or 19 and 20, when I was finally, like, getting into the whole thing and stuff like that. I mean, shoot, I was scared to record in front of my dad. I was scared to record in front of my dad's girlfriend or wife now, not girlfriend, engagement, whatever. Either way, though, what do you call it? I was scared to do that, and I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, a lot of the reasons why I haven't pumped out as much stuff is because I'm scared of what people would have thought.
Okay.
Do I feel like I'm too late?
So I have a question. Also, with that too, do you feel like your dream is broken or shattered? Do you feel like you can't get that same high from the dream that you're doing?
I feel like when I was younger, I had a lot more energy and definitely a lot more passion and drive, a lot more light in my eyes than I do now.
Okay.
I feel like the experiences that I've gone through over the courses of the years probably darkened my viewpoint of the world. As happy as I am, I mean, I'm a different person than I was 5 years ago, and I think that the things I've gone through have definitely made me.
So my question for you is, have you ever tried to reframe that sort of shattered dream? Besides, just putting into the podcast. So I'm saying, like, have you ever tried to reframe that dream?
I wouldn't necessarily say the dream was shattered in the first place. I think it was just more suppressed. I had to deal with life, and suddenly life got the best of me. And, like, just next thing you know, 1 month of not posting turned into, damn, that's posted 1 year ago. Now it's posted 2 years ago, and now it's 5 years ago on my other channel. And it's like, whoa. And when I look back, I'm just like, now that I'm doing all of this, I think to myself, dang, I could have done this all this time.
You're never too late in this dream, I guess, because it's, there's people 35 doing this, 40 doing this, 60 doing this.
It's true.
But I would say there's just like an art to, maybe being imperfect in this dream, right? So, like, you're saying you don't feel as energetic and stuff like that, but people might feel that through the videos and still find some kind of resonance with it. They understand that you may not be as energetic as you used to be. I'm sure, for instance, a lot of these big podcasters or YouTubers or Instagram people who make Instagram reels and all that stuff don't feel the same as they used to feel 5 years ago. I'm sure Mr. Beast don't feel the same as he used to feel 10 years ago. I'm sure, Markiplier doesn't feel the same way he felt 10 years ago about YouTube. I'm sure they have whole different outlooks and structures for their YouTube videos now that they did.
But then you think about it like this. You're like, well, at least how I think about it, I'm going to be more vulnerable as well. If we're doing it right now at 24, 25, and we're pumping out these videos consistently on a schedule and stuff like that.
Yes, sir.
If we would have, heck, not even you guys, because it wasn't your guys' dream all the time, it was mine. So if I would have started off being this consistent and doing all the stuff that I did younger, by the time I was this age in some alternate universe, who knows what could have happened? I could have been up there. And part of me feels like the fact that I hyped myself up back then, like, oh my God, I'm going to do this, and then I ended up not doing it. that adds to a bit of why I could have a little bit of resentment towards myself.
I think, well, for instance, you right. You actually posted and stuff like that. I always wanted to post, but I just didn't have anything to say. So now that I've learned a lot from becoming an older person now, I think I've learned a lot to say at this point. That's why I felt as though I couldn't post or, show things online or dance like those other people do and all that crazy stuff like that. I can do that stuff because it's just not who I was at the time. I don't dance now, but I'm basically saying like I didn't have any of those skills at all that people were posting online when they get millions of views that I do now. So now I feel as though when I speak, I could probably give some value to the conversation where I wouldn't have normally had it. So like for now, right? I don't think I'm perfect. He doesn't think he's perfect, and Kevin sure damn doesn't think he's perfect. But there's an art to this that we may be able to give you guys that may make you feel like, hey,
you're not the only
one
ones
with these individuals.
You're not.
You're not the only ones.
I bet a lot of you guys are in that little rut that I'm in right now.
I think that also goes into a sort of voluntary discomfort when it comes to these sort of things, right? There's a lot of awkwardness, there's a lot of anxiety, there's a lot of depression, there's a lot of discomfort, there's a lot of procrastination and dissent when it comes to coming up with videos like this, right? And that doesn't even come from purposely doing these things. You may say the one wrong thing and might get turned out from it. But there's a sort of discomfort for going for your dream, right?
Always.
So like, for instance, he might hurt his arm trying to put an engine in. For instance, me, I might mess myself up trying to, come read and read the wrong information and not be able to, articulate my words very well. And Keontae, for instance, somebody could hurt him and now he doesn't feel like doing the videos, or like somebody could have passed away. He doesn't like feeling just doing his videos anymore. And all of a sudden, we're all off our grind. We're all messed up. We're all sitting there and not having anything to say but to grieve for whatever we did wrong or whatever happened to us or whatever we said or whatever, we can't control. So I think we should suffer with intention. If we're gonna suffer, if we're gonna go through the pain, we should do it with a sort of persistence that nobody else has. Because if you don't have persistence in what you want to do, nobody else will. Nobody's gonna lift you up. You're a dude, right? You're a man. We don't have the safety net that a lot of other individuals have that will help us when we're down, right? If you're feeling stagnant, if you don't feel like you can really do what you want to do, you may just slide in that persistence and not really be able to get where you want to be in life. If you don't go outside, you may never get friends. If you don't talk to people, you may never have a partner. If you don't go into places and network, you may never have a successful business. So I feel like you have to be able to understand that voluntary discomfort and get outside of yourself. I feel like discomfort with purpose is transformation, and discomfort with no aim is suffering. That's what I would say for myself.
W. Alexander. Was that all your? Wait, was that? Okay.
That is all my points for you guys, and I'll hand it over to somebody else. Who's next?
The Kali Kage, the man himself, the unbreakable force.
All right.
Why do you think men are mostly sad or / depressed nowadays?
All right, so I think that, honestly, we all know that a good part of it is definitely women. We don't get the people that we want, or maybe the people that we do want or don't want us or stuff like that. That's definitely it, but I don't think that's the main reason necessarily either. That's a big part of it, I'll say that, but I also genuinely think that, what do you call it, a lot of the reason why a lot of people are depressed or a lot of men are depressed is because of their lifestyles and the habits and the life choices that they chose to really do. It sucks to say, okay, it's all your fault. But if I'm looking inwards, like just I'm using me as an example, I could have done a lot more things better in the past that could have set me up to where I am now. And I could have been a lot happier than I am now. I'm not saying I'm not the happiest person. I'm not saying I'm like the saddest person, but I'm definitely not as happy as I could have been. I'm working on that though. However, what do you call it? What could make a man like depressed could be what? Maybe like, for instance, he didn't amount to what he could have before in the past, and he's starting to realize that, and is starting to get resentment towards himself, or maybe let's see, maybe he's not fit enough, or maybe what do you call it? He doesn't have enough money, for instance, and essentially, I think a lot of that stuff again stems from maybe regret from what you thought you could do in the past, or what you should have done in the past. I feel like a lot.
Do you think it's like a slippery slope of just like so like you regret your past, but it just builds a bigger snowball, so you just feel like because it's like
because it's more like all right, well, if it's already going this bad, I might as well just let it keep on happening, when in reality they don't see it at one point, but all you have to do is just really start doing better. It's like what do you call it? People sometimes have like you say like the analysis paralysis and whatnot. It can happen for women. It can happen for what do you call it? Getting a job. It can happen for pursuing your dreams. But I think one good quote during these years that I've learned was that you might not think that you're great to do something, but you don't have to, be great to start. You just got to start to be great. But people skip that starting part because they keep on overanalyzing things that they're trying to do. I did it for 5 years, 5 whole years, and it's like.
I think there's also another thing with that too. It's called like the stock cost fallacy. So you believe since you put so much time into something, you can't change that something to something better. So like for instance, like you were saying, you're failing and stuff like that. But you put so much time into like doing it the wrong way or being in the wrong mindset that you just never change it. Is that what you?
I mean, yeah, that's essentially that. I mean, it's kind of like I mean, and it's not only that. It's like you can see yourself getting like worse and worse, but realistically, even though life is going down, it's not just. There are some good points inside that that timeline from back then to where you want to be. But see, it's those good points that kind of make you comfortable with how things are going. So like basically
complacency.
Yeah, complacent. So basically, sure, I know I'm not doing what I want to be doing, but hey, I just got a paycheck, so I'm feeling happy. I'm feeling good. I'm surviving. And once you get in that surviving mindset, that's where you start failing.
Hey, Rick went through it in The Walking Dead. I also would say like sometimes like look, somebody gotta do some, like you're probably gonna have to bleep this out. Somebody gonna do something around this motherfucker. Like it's just the truth. Like if nobody took out the trash, ain't shit getting done. It's the truth. Like if you gonna go up to that girl, somebody else gonna do it.
Yeah.
So you might as well do it yourself.
I think that one thing that people what am I trying to say? I think that I think that what men typically fail on doing is also talking about the things that they're going through. How I'm talking about it now, I'm being vulnerable. Not a lot of people can do what I'm doing. Not a lot of people will do what I'm doing, especially to something that potentially millions could see. So it's like, what do you call it? They hold it in because it's a part of some type of societal standard that men have to be strong, have to be fearless, have to be all that other stuff. I'll tell you this: I'm not the best at communication, but I would love to communicate. I'm not faulting anybody for communicating because when you do that, it takes a lot off of your pressure. It takes a lot of pressure off of your your chest and everything like that. But a lot of men rather hold that pressure and look good to society and still just be like sad on the inside than to actually talk about their problems and actually feel better.
So question. Do you think communication is sort of a trade? Like when you're trying to be vulnerable with somebody, when you want them to be vulnerable, don't you feel like you should be vulnerable yourself? Yeah, but I think it's because being vulnerable also costs you your pride in some type of way. Yeah. But I don't think that's necessarily a problem. I think
to the wrong people, yes.
Yeah. But I think like in some aspects, pride. J. Cole said it himself. Pride is the devil, So, like, in some aspects, if you have too much of that, you could be missing out on a good opportunity. Like, for instance, what if people never did therapy? Therapy's a thing. It takes a lot of, you got to relinquish your pride to actually tell this person what's going on and stuff like that so that you can actually be helped. Now, if you had too much pride to say like, "Oh man, I ain't got nothing going on with me. I'm just doing this because blah 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 blah," you're not gonna get any help.
I think the problem with that it stems from is people don't really care.
Yeah,
A lot of people do not care.
a lot of people don't care. That's the
I
thing.
think also like people are
Microphone, please.
people are fundamentally flawed, so they don't want to fix that flaw because sometimes you reframe that flaw as a sort of upgrade to who you were before. So like, you know, like you're saying, go to therapy, right? It may be an inherently flawed system for certain types of people. Like, for instance, what if your way of coping or sort of evolving yourself is physical and not, you know, auditorial, like you were saying in another episode? Like, what if it's not, you know, just strictly speaking? Like, it's sort of like a persistence to do something else besides speaking, like sitting on a rock, I don't know, or like working out, or, you know, working on your craft. Like, what if it's that?
I mean, if somebody lets themselves go, like I'll say I haven't let myself go physically, but let's say somebody within the peak top shape.
Okay.
And then over the course of the 5 years, because it's been 5 years for me in the YouTube thing. So if over the course of those 5 years, an alternate timeline, say I let myself go. And now I'm like, blah. Okay, cool. It would take me to throw away my pride to...
I was going to say something, but that's going to be messed up. Never mind. I'm going to leave it alone.
It would
nothing to down what you're saying. But
I don't think it's being less prideful. It's like, yeah, guys, I'm fat. I accept it.
Yeah.
I think that's...
But, like, if I'm spending all these years thinking, man, I'm not going to do that. I ain't going to go to the gym because, you know, I mean, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. I've been a little aspect of that is pride and just stubbornness at that. But, like, if you're willing to toss that aside to actually take the first step into making yourself better, I think that takes a lot. Think about the people in the gym.
I think that's also the weight on your back thing too, right? Because, you know, it might be laziness or like let's say procrastination. Like for instance, you've been going to the gym for a long time, and now all of a sudden, you know, you're working longer hours at work, like you're doing overtime, right? That might stop you from going to the gym because you're kind of choosing your passion over your discipline in a way. But like, that's something you gotta weigh for yourself.
I mean, like, you think about the people in the gym, like, not to shame anybody, but we kind of all know it. So we think, like, I mean, I'm not in the best shape, but there's somebody better than me. And then there's also somebody not as where, I'm not going to say not better than me, but, you know, not where
better in the form of craft that you're trying to do.
Yeah, so
like if you're trying to build yourself up like that, then they're better than you in that sense because you know they have more endurance, you know they're stronger.
But anyway, saying that to say, you see the super duper heavy people in the gym who are just starting day one. Yeah. I only think to myself like, damn, like just imagine how much, because I being somewhat in shape, I'm already feeling insecure about seeing people who are like super duper in shape. Just imagine how they would feel seeing everybody else, and they're just like, yeah, man, I know I'm not there, and I know it looks like I'm not working out anything right now. Shoot. But they got to keep on pushing and grinding.
I even agree with you at people at work, for instance, like, you know, or like when you go out and people are like, man, damn, you look good, bro, and they ask you like, how did you do it? And you're like, you give them a simple answer. I tell them I get on the treadmill and run or like fast walk or whatever for a really long time, and you know they just go like, all right, man, that's cool. And I'm like, so you know you're gonna do it? It's just it's like I get, you know, I see the big people too or whatever, and they get in the gym and, you know, they just like, they're doing their thing or whatnot. Or the old people, like, you forgot about them too, like the really, really old people, like, not to down anybody, you know, like the elderly. And
no, that would go back to my whole point about like feeling the resentment. I feel like if I was old and I went into the gym and started working out like that, I'd be like, damn, I'm in the best shape of my life, but damn, I'm 60 years old. Like, I could have done this when I was freaking 20.
Now, I remember seeing those, like, those ninja, damn, I forgot it was, like, American Ninja, I don't know.
American Ninja Warrior?
Yeah. It's like one of those shows where, it's like one of those types of shows where, like, there's a firefighter, and she was, like, 60, and she was, like, in the best shape of her life. And stuff like that, but then that, you know, in other forms of life, you'll see like people go like, "Well, I'm 60, I can't do it."
Yeah.
But that's all to live a little longer. You know what I'm saying? The what is the average lifespan for a man? 83, and the average lifespan for a woman now is 85. And you know, men often die sooner, and they're saying it's probably because of resentment for, you know, other things in their life that they couldn't fulfill. I think, like, you should get in the gym. I mean, like if you or jump into whatever you're trying to do. You know, you have to make that first step. You know, it's a snowball effect. You know, if you spend like a good 19 days doing what you want to do, trying to build a habit, you know, you'll create a new habit for yourself.
I thought it was 27.
I thought it was 30.
It depends on where you look, but essentially, it's a discipline that you need to have. Sometimes, you know, the motivation is the drive. It's the why you're doing it. The discipline is the how. Remember, the discipline is the how. Yeah, the how, and the structure is, you know, the what.
Yeah.
So, you have to sort of start. I mean,
like I said, you just got to start to be great. I mean,
but I would say don't get caught up on the like you're saying, the analysis paralysis, where you start thinking, like, for instance, YouTube, how many views this is in, and what's the title gotta be, and do people even like how I look, and am I awkward on camera, and do I even have anything to say that people even give a fuck about,
or even the setup. Like, I remember, like, for these past 5 years, telling myself that I was gonna start doing YouTube again, and like every single month I'd be like pointlessly researching different YouTube ideas and stuff like that, and then I would tell myself, okay, well, maybe once I get my own apartment, then I'll do it. And then I don't get my own apartment. Oh, dang, shoot. That's more sadness. Then I'll be like, maybe, you know, when I save up $5,000, okay, damn it, I don't do that. Now I'm sad. And maybe if I do this, look, all I'm trying to say is basically, you don't have to set any like prerequisites to doing what you want to do. The best way to get out of your rut is to literally just start doing it. Because if you keep on saying, first I got to do this, first I got to do that, first I got to do this, next thing you're going to be like is, well, first I got to come to my funeral. Well, it's too late now. And it's like you're going to saying you're going to do something tomorrow. It's going to always be tomorrow. Just do it right now.
I think,
and that goes for gym stuff too. I mean, like,
I think you should reframe it too. Like, for instance, like, let's say you don't get your apartment. That doesn't necessarily mean you didn't make the money that you have in any way, shape, or form. Like, you know, you need $7K, you got $5K. That's somewhere, you know.
That's more than most Americans.
That's more than most American savings, right? You know, most people can't even get $500 in their savings. So, like, to have $7K, that's almost like the $10K you need to change your life, right? You could reframe that money and put it to something even better than where you started. You know, this is where you build connections with other people, you know, outsource that connection. You know, if he couldn't get the camera he needed to record, why don't you find somebody who can give you that camera for cheaper on eBay? I don't know. You know, if that $5K couldn't satisfy your apartment, find a different apartment.
Essentially, I mean, like, just because one out doesn't work does not mean there's no outs. No outs. I mean, there's always a way, so you guys can just make a way.
Sometimes you gotta live through the hood. Sometimes it be like that.
But there's a will, there's a way. I mean, a lot of the famous YouTubers, they didn't even start off on anything fancy. Laptop cameras.
Like, look at the room around us. It used to be barren.
People probably wouldn't have had this until they were like 10,000 subscribers.
It costs though. It costs. Yeah. Don't let them tell you no different. It costs. It does. It costs every penny of your life. But
living check to check.
Check to check. No, I'm playing.
Nah,
but I mean. I'm playing.
It's like no. I'm joking. I'm just serious.
No. That. But no, that's like real though. Sometimes you gotta invest in some things, like college, right? For instance, Kevin had to invest in his college, or even starting off doing simple things like going to the gym. That's an investment every month. That's your $40 coming out of your account. That might be the last $40 you need to get. You need to get what? Where you live in Atlanta, your wing plate or your beef ribs or whatever you want to eat, or your salad or whatnot. That might be the last little bit of money you got. But it's an investment, right? It's an investment for your future. I'm not saying starve for the investment, but a lot of times it might hinder you from doing things you want to do.
And on top of all this, I think this is just it's a random point, but I just thought of it now. I think a lot of men can also be depressed because they compare themselves to others in like, I'm not gonna say in unrealistic ways, but in ways that they really shouldn't be comparing. I mean, I feel like you shouldn't compare yourself to anybody in general. Maybe if you're like saying this is where I want to be, okay,
But
cool.
I argue some men take that as a competitive thing to do better.
Like I said, this is where I want to be. Okay, cool. But when it's like, what do you call it? Dang, man, man, this man gets more girls than me, da 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 da. Or man, this person, like, I mean, I guess that's like you want to do better, sure, but if you're genuinely hating yourself, that's where it becomes a problem. If it's motivation, cool. But if it's like, man, I'm just a useless piece of shit, man, I can't get women. Like, come on, man. I don't know. It's like
I think you should sort of look yourself in the mirror.
I mean, but once you give into that despair, like when you look at yourself in the mirror, you don't give into the despair. You gotta motivate yourself. You gotta, you don't get women, but you're gonna get women. You feel me? Like you can't do that. You gotta do that. You can't just be like, you little fucking ugly ass bitch. You ain't gonna get no women. You look at you.
How did the video go, Kevin?
Which one?
The one where he's like, your mom.
We can't say that. It's too much editing. Dude, we can't say those words.
Okay.
We can't say those words. Too much editing.
So it's like, I mean, and then take it from somebody who's done that over the years. I mean, I've beaten myself up more times than I probably should have, and I mean, shoot, I've been down in the dumps. I got my heart broken. I've gone broke. I've been in the negatives. I mean, it's like you beat yourself up, and it's just like, I mean, I don't know. It's like
some people do just give up.
Yeah, it's like as long as you don't give up.
He didn't per se give up, but some people give up. Like they'll one bump in the road, all of a sudden you're at the bottom. It's like, goddamn.
See, my stepdad, he would tell me, he's told me, it's kind of deals with this a little bit. He says there's a difference between being poor and being broke.
Yeah.
So he's like, being poor is a mindset. Yeah. Being broke is temporary. So when you say you don't have no money, you're in the negatives, you whatever, say you're broke. Don't say you're poor. Because when you're poor, that means you've already given up. You've already accepted that this is where you are. I live in the poor. I'm poverty. I'm blah, 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 blah. But if you're broke, you're saying, okay, I'm low for the moment, but I'm going to bounce back. So it's about the little things that you say. Give yourself those little tiny mental cues. The way you arrange your words that can also like subconsciously make you feel some type of way. I will never say I'm poor.
But
I'm broke.
Don't get used to either, honestly.
Don't
get used to being broke or poor.
You get complacent.
Because you get complacent. That's the slippery slope right there. Would you say? Oh, Kevin, for instance, would you say you should figure out how to do your money before you even start? Like, is that a reason why you might be depressed?
Could you explain it a different way, please?
So, like, for instance, when I was younger, I used to have a job, right?
Mm-hmm.
Making what? When you start off, you're making like what, $400 a week or something like that. You get to $800 up to 2 weeks.
I was actually pretty blessed.
At first, yeah.
It was, okay.
When you had no responsibility.
None.
Yeah.
What's a car note?
Yeah.
So, do you think that would be even enough money to start saving?
I think so.
For a long period of time?
I'd save something. I'd say anything between 10 to 20% of your check. Save that much. 10 to 20%.
Because right now, it's very hard to live in America.
You're right, but it's 100% doable.
I'm saying it's 100% doable, but I'm saying it's very hard to live in America right now. So, I was wondering, would you say like, how do you know when to live in the now and when to live in the later? And don't always say you live in the later, because sometimes you are actually broke and you need money to eat.
I say when it comes to living in the now, that it really depends on the context. But if you always get told live in the now, 9 out of 10, it's not people with have anything that you want in life. If they tell you that 9 out of 10, they don't have what you want anyway. Usually it's the people who have everything you want that tells you, hey man, just save your little $10 here, save a little $20, because something's gonna hit you real big. But people don't tend to understand it because either they're not the ones who had to pay for it, or they're still young and don't understand it at the moment till life hits them. Then they're 42 with 2 jobs.
Like, there's some times where thinking about later also screws you over in a way, I guess, because like, let's say I put my money in the wrong place. I'm betting. I'm putting myself in the risk or whatnot. I'm risking my like you said, $10 or $20. So let's say I'm putting $20 into, I don't know, they got different assets to do these things like prize picks, or like if you're doing stocks, you're doing forex trading, or you're even doing Bitcoin or something like that.
Yeah, but those are things that you automatically know are risky investments, and you
Or
should not
or putting money into gold, right? That's the now. I mean, that's the later, but your money's coming out of your account at this moment, right? So, for instance, 20% of your check for a lot of people might be big. For instance, like let's say my car note is $300. I got $100 left. Now you're telling me to save it. It doesn't make sense, right? Because I need a note. I don't have parents to protect me. I'm not saying me, but I'm saying like that could be a circumstance. You don't have parents to protect you. So, what do you say to do? I personally would think you should get a new job, because if you're making $800, it's kind of crazy. But
if you're really serious about it, and like actually serious about it, like you said, you can get a second job, or you know what? You just paid your car note. Guess what? You have Uber Eats. If you're really that serious about it, you will find a way. There is a way. If anyone tells you, hey, bro, I don't have a choice, you're lying. You're lying to yourself by definition.
So, for instance...
There's always a way.
So, Keontae,
even if you have to go and beg.
How do you determine when to think from, like this goes into depression? Because, for instance, let's say you make the wrong decision, you're depressed now because you got a bump in the road, for instance, like I was saying with him. How do you know when you choose the now versus the later?
I ain't going to the bathroom, by the way, so...
All right.
Continue the conversation.
All right. The now, I mean...
Because that later could be the bump in the road.
I was just waiting for that. Oh, okay. What do you call it? I mean, it later could be the bump in the road. I mean...
Yeah, like choosing later could be the bump in the road. In that moment.
Yeah.
I guess you could say that, but like, how do you determine whether that later is like better than the now?
I mean, shoot, that's one thing I'm already struggling with right now. I mean, I'm super impulsive with a lot of things, and I look back at it in the future, and I'm just like, man,
I didn't need that shirt.
Yeah, I shouldn't have done that. I didn't need these pair of shoes or something like that.
I don't even touch my console that
exactly.
It's little stuff like that,
and
like
then,
where you wanted it in the moment really, really bad.
Yeah. But, and then you look back and you're just like, but I could have had like $500 more right now, and now I'm starving. And it's like, shoot.
I mean, obviously, everybody needs a little entertainment, because obviously you wouldn't have any sort of ambition to go anywhere if you had no entertainment. Cause like, what's the point of spending 6 years of my life if I'm just gonna die, working all my life? But
that's how you ration it, really.
I mean, that's why I think a lot of dudes are depressed too. Is like they make mistakes and they don't know how to reframe them in a way that makes them beneficial for themselves.
Yeah.
Like you were saying, you're trying to get an apartment so you can get a bump in the road. All of a sudden, the money just disappears because in your mind it doesn't really exist anymore, since it's not giving you what you want.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, the little things like the shades, right? You just spend $30 on that. That could have been 3 more meals.
Yeah. I think what do you call it? I think men could be depressed. I'm speaking from this time, no experience. I don't know how it is to have what do you call it, a child or something like that, or a family of my own. But like, I think they can also be more depressed just being empathetic, at least. I think there's a lot of pressure that I can see could be on the man to provide for their children and their family and whatnot. And say the man's life is going good. Say he's actually accomplishing what he wanted to do in life, per se, but not necessarily, fulfilling the life. Like, not necessarily doing well for the kids, if that makes sense. So, like, okay, so his dream job, whatever, he wants to be say his dream job was to be like what? Something that doesn't pay that well.
An artist?
Sure, an artist. Yeah, he wanted to be an artist or something. Now he's getting like $40,000 a year. Okay, cool. Doing what he loves.
They wish it was like that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, sure. Doing what he loves and whatnot. Okay, cool. But, I mean, he's not really making ends meet because, he has, for him, that probably would have been good. But now he has a wife. He has a kid. So he's going to have to put some of his dreams aside in order to do more. Right?
Not even necessarily.
Because
I don't think you have to put your dreams aside for that job. I just think you need to maybe reframe the way you do that. So like for instance, if you're doing art on the street, obviously you're not gonna make that much money. You can get a couple bucks, but that's more like a niche thing. Maybe talk to people, find connections. I don't know. Network,
yeah, but when
and maybe
but like you said, when it comes to the now and to the later,
Yeah.
when people are under pressure like that, oh
Yeah.
man, I gotta get my kid gotta eat. Da 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 da. They might not be thinking rationally about let me network. No, they'll probably be thinking, okay, damn, I gotta put this on the side and actually get
honestly,
something
also,
that pays.
too, before I hit that point exactly where you're trying to go, I would say also you shouldn't be starting a family with kids or
That's
you
true.
have your stuff together because
But it should be
a
like
lot of
that,
people
though.
it should be like that sometimes, but a lot of people do that. Personally, I think like you shouldn't be having that sort of dynamic with people where you have a wife. You can have a wife and not really necessarily be exactly where you need to be at.
Mhm.
Because obviously, you might be in that stage where you're trying to become what you want to be, and you're really close to it or something like that. You're about to get where you're trying to be. But I would say like you shouldn't probably have kids until you're ready for that sort of thing. That could also go into why you may not be where you want to be. So,
Yeah,
for instance,
kids making people depressed.
Kids can make you depressed. Not necessarily
Like you
saying
love
that
them, but
you love them, but they,
if they weren't for them, I could have been in this Lamborghini right now.
Yeah, and imagine you're making $5,000 a month, and all of a sudden, your kids make you make $1,000 a month. And you're like, because you're paying hundreds of dollars on child support. Like these things go into maybe why you're depressed because you're not sort of allowing yourself to think before you make decisions like that. You're choosing the now. Obviously, it may have felt good in the moment with that woman, but the later is, you got an 18-year-old kid, but you probably could have lived your dream a little bit longer before all that. Maybe you're 24 like us, and you could have lived a little 4, 5, 6 more years, and probably had your business together with your art stuff, instead of sort of choosing the life of a kid with a kid, and allowing that to sort of derail you from where you're trying to be at.
I think that what do you call it? I don't know if it's a proven statistic. I think it is, but wasn't the male versus female suicide rates, weren't they wasn't it way higher for the males than the females?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not gonna say that obviously I hope that both of them go down to 0 or realistically just lower, but why do you think that there is?
Because there's a burden of performance on us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Also, for instance, the statistic goes like this: females, likely when they're trying to commit such an action, they often don't actually want to perish to whatever they're doing. They actually just want to speak out. Men, they use the harshest form of self-deletion there possibly is, so they don't really want to be saved. They really want to be done.
So versus a woman taking pills and overdosing
let's get that out the way. A lot of girls, not every one of them, but most of them want to be saved. Men in those situations, the majority of them do not.
So versus taking pills and just taking a bullet.
So
it's like, hey.
I think it comes from people's. I think it comes from their lives aren't being fulfilled in the way they probably hoped, and they don't think any sort of reaching out will really help them, because I personally, and a lot of these at least from not every single person I know, but majority of people are fake. So I think when they sort of, oh, I'll help you, we'll get you through this, all they see is those eyes of have you ever seen a manipulative person, when they put their hand out and their eyes turn dark like some kind of anime character, and they're just going like this? They feel like that because a lot of times people use you when they're very selfish, or when they get you where they need you to be, they cast you aside like you didn't exist. So I think men probably don't get that sort of reassurance because they know the people around them aren't necessarily going to help them with whatever they need in that moment, or what they have needed months ago, 2 years ago. Because I'm sure that's not the first time they showed the signs that they don't want to be here. that might have been just the last time that you caught them there because you weren't paying much attention to them. Because men are often told,
Yeah.
their only value is what they provide and not who they are. So
I mean, you never notice until it's too late. That's how it goes.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Unfortunately, absolutely. And I think a lot of that is from the fact that not necessarily that they don't have a purpose, but because nobody really tries to help them when it comes to certain things like, the home, even simple as the homeless man on the street, to maybe somebody who just doesn't know what they want to be in life, to maybe somebody who's going through a toxic sort of thing with their parents or relationship or their brothers and siblings, or even even like, for instance, somebody who's gotten their legs messed up for the rest of their life and they can't run like they used to in track and field.
Mm-hmm.
It could be sort of things like that, and nobody reaches out. Shoot, the veterans, they're at a big homeless rate right now. The fentanyl is really high at the moment. These sort of things are sort of muddying the waters for where men can really find themselves and really stick to where they want to be in life.
That also gets me thinking, just another point. I was thinking one thing that makes me feel a little bit better in times where I probably could be more sad. I always think to myself, like you said, one person can be going through this, going through that. Whatever I'm going through, I think that there is somebody going through something 1,000 times worse than me.
Nah, there's a funny thing Keontae always says. He'll be like, what do you call it? It's like when you're like, Justin, he's like, well, at least you're not.
Yeah. What do you call it? Yeah. That's exactly what I'm talking about, except it's just a non-comedic version. Either way, though, no, it's like Justin would be sad that, I don't know, let's just say his pencil broke, and that was his most sentimental number one pencil that was given to him by his, I don't know, great-grandmother that, rescued a bunch of kittens from a firehouse. Okay, cool. And it breaks in half. And now he's just, like, super sad and depressed about it. And I'm just like, well, if it makes you feel any better, I just lost my kitten the other day. and then it's just like, well.
I'm sort of like, so his thing is that. My thing is like, it is what it is, or like, and I'll do it again. Because, like, for instance, even though I made a mistake, a lot of times that mistake probably wasn't as much of a big mistake as I might have thought it was. And it is what it is. Is to say, like, don't cry over spilled milk. Things happen sometimes, but you can reframe that spilled milk and probably use it to make some clean butter.
Yeah, so what are you going to be, a glass half empty or a glass half full type of person?
I'm a glass half empty, I ain't gonna lie. But
no, I think I'm more of a glass half full. Sometimes.
Yeah, he's
sometimes.
a little bit more
optimistic.
Not optimistic. I'm a little bit more pessimistic.
But what?
And Kevin?
I'm just edgy.
Yeah, he's edgy.
I'm just edgy about it.
I think, though, like, if I were to, like, say out of the three of us, which one of us would be the most, like, depressed? Who would it be?
Me.
Would it be you?
Yeah, it'd be me.
Is it for reasons that we know?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, you know what? Never mind. I could probably see that, but
I think depression is different than everybody.
Yeah, I think everybody processes it differently, but let's just go base level here.
So if I was to say me, it'd be for different reasons than you.
That's true.
But I think we're all...
But everybody takes it differently.
Everybody takes it differently.
So,
like, for instance, he might have a different level of problems going on that I might not have, and you might have a different problems that I might not have.
That's true.
So...
Okay, I know how this is going to be ranked.
And for instance, you know, I may not be going hungry like some people in other countries or whatnot, but that isn't to say that my problems aren't real.
I'm sure I know how this will be ranked then. If we were going to rank us on who's the most depressed, based off of how we handle it in general, it's going to be me. How we handle it, not what we're going through. I think, what do you call it? You know, since people process different, people more sensitive, people go through things, raised differently, handle things differently.
So
I think.
So generally speaking, because we don't want to get too deep.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is? Because I just want to sort of rank it, but not to get too deep.
If I'm gonna say, what do you call it? If at base level reasoning, it could say I could say, like I said, resentment and regret for things that I didn't do in the past, promises that I could have kept or that I made in the past, at least about myself and how I would perform in the future, and how I'm not there right now. So, for instance,
Do you feel certain type of way about that?
I do. I mean,
I process things differently than you do. Then
because I mean, I do. It's like for instance, another moment of vulnerability. I don't mind, whatever. And this is just a time capsule at this point.
It's her.
What do you call it? When I was 19 and I was just starting out doing the whole YouTube thing, I was telling my mom. By the way, I had just dropped out of college too. So I dropped out of college. I what do you call it? Started full time at my job. No, well, I was only part time at my job at the time, and I was telling my dad and my mom like I'm gonna do this whole YouTube thing. Da 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 da. And at the time, I talked to them a whole lot more than I talk to them now. I'm not gonna lie, and that's because I mean I hadn't gotten a reality check at the time too. You know, I mean I feel like sometimes again being vulnerable, looking at like my parents or talking to them these days, it's saddening. You know, because I feel like maybe I could have been better. Maybe if I would have continued college or something, maybe they'd be proud of me. Sometimes, even though they say they're proud of me, sometimes maybe because I don't feel proud of myself necessarily, I feel like, dang, like, I don't know how to explain that. You know, it's, if you get what I'm saying.
so
It's like,
well, to go off of your point, but not necessarily your point, but I guess to answer it to myself, I would say, so for instance, like he said, he processes it differently. I'm the type to feel nothing at all, and that's the kind of the problem is like where he feels like the weight on his chest. I just feel nothing. Like when I mean that like in the sense that like a couple days after something, all the feelings that I had a couple days before would just go away, and like it's not as though I don't get up and do my thing, obviously, get in the gym and this and that. But that's what I mean by that, because, for instance, for me, I'm kind of relentless in that idea. Kevin, well, so, my bad. I didn't mean to say Kevin. But I'm relentless in that pursuit. So when I say I feel nothing, I mean like the bumps in the road, they trip me up, but that only just fuels that push forward. And that's to say, like, as to say I'm probably feeling it less than he is. That's just to say, like, my ambition sort of like uses that as more fuel to keep going forward. And if you ask me how I feel personally, I probably give you the same response he'd probably give you, but it just wouldn't be like pushing me off of my road, because I've understood solitude as sort of a choice when it comes to these sort of things, or like moving forward, you know, understanding that the road gets bumpy sometimes, and like you can use that as fuel. And he's sort of got a different sort of thing where he's like letting the weight push him down. I feel nothing at all when it comes to these sort of things, in the sense that I just keep going the way I was before. But if you ask me how I feel personally, yeah, there's times where I use that to listen to things that wouldn't necessarily get me motivated, but build a structure to how I would more purposefully live my life. Like, I like to listen to a lot of philosophy stuff, and you know, politics and all that other stuff, but space and all that stuff. But that kind of just fuels my knowledge, and I keep moving forward. And those videos and that content sort of helps me reframe the way I view life, and the way I use habits, and the way I fuel the isolation that I may have in a moment. Like, when I get off of work, there's obviously nobody. Everybody else is probably working and doing something different. So I reframe that as time to work on different things. Like, I like to do, now I'm starting to do Instagram Reels and stuff like that. I like to research little things to do for the podcast room. I want to research like different things I want to buy so I can sort of upgrade the situation we got here. I want to, figure out how to do different skills and stuff that I never got to do when I was younger and broker. So, it may just those things may even get me to get started even quicker. So like, I get, for instance, let's say my legs hurt and I can't work out. Well, obviously I'll use that as fuel to work on a different thing. But I've also learned that you can't let what you can't control make you sort of try and have a bigger hold on something else, because then you start to lose things in your hand and it's starting to mess you up. So, my hand got hurt and I can't move my hand today. If I was a person who likes to ride bikes, I wouldn't try and ride it with one hand and try and get more control over the bike handle. I would just do something else that is similar but doesn't require me to use my hand.
And I think that personally, it's like one of my one things that, like, deep down I don't really talk about a lot, but I would love to be closer with my mom and my dad. But part of me sometimes feels like I gotta be something to make it up to them in some type of way, Like, as if, like, maybe they aren't disappointed, but it feels like they're disappointed, Or
Well,
maybe it feels like, since I'm disappointed.
Have you ever come to think that maybe it might be a circular logic where you're trying to prove yourself to somebody who doesn't need who you don't need approval from?
Yeah, but then it just comes back to, I feel like I need to do it for them.
But I'm saying, like, not to get too deep because I'm not trying to be so specific. But I'm saying, why don't you stop worrying about trying to build a purpose for them and trying to build a purpose for yourself, because they'll see it in your heart and not for them.
I mean, it's essentially going to still be for me. It's just the fact that I never accomplished it for myself. It just makes me feel like I'm like the boy who cried wolf. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And now look at this. I'm spent 5 whole years not doing anything that I remotely was saying that I was going to do. And instead, wasting it away, essentially.
So from what I learned from parents, grandparents, friends, or whatnot, sometimes they just want the simple things, the simple steps that you can make that maybe change their perspective on maybe what you got going on. Maybe they could even help you.
I mean,
but maybe you don't even want. Sometimes, I'm not even gonna lie, you don't even want the help.
I don't.
I'm not saying like you don't want to improve, but you just don't want the help from a specific person because you feel like it's a debt.
Yeah. I feel like not even that for me. It's more like I feel like I want to prove myself that I can do it before I even start accepting help. Like for instance, if my mom or stepdad or my dad would have donated $10,000 to me or to us, versus us making 10,000 or making the money first, showing that we actually, like it's different when you're starting from nothing.
But
and then
wouldn't you argue, as parents or whatnot, it's gonna happen anyway?
Not necessarily.
Yes, because eventually, as all of us know, as I said, understand that you must die. Sometimes, we all know that eventually everyone's gonna succumb to their age and pass away. But as parents, they leave us things to make our lives a little easier.
Yeah.
Now, whether we accept those things or not, that's cool. But I'd rather feel as though I accepted her life's journey to give me something than to not. So
yeah, but we're talking like the future. But
yeah,
but
if you're in the future, that's not when you need it. You need it now.
Yeah, exactly.
You're 20. If you're 24, 25, or 20, or any time before you're like 30, pretty much as a man, you're gonna need the safety net that probably majority of men don't get.
But I can agree with that. But at the same time, if I haven't even applied myself to even try to like not have a safety net,
so
then
like right now, right?
You
got the podcast room.
Okay.
You've helped build this. Not saying you did all by yourself, but you've helped build this as a third member of the group.
Okay.
Your mom gives you $10K today. What you doing?
See, that's the thing.
Not that you have a choice. You see $10K in your account and there's no giving it back. What are you doing now?
Paying off my debt. But after that.
But I'm saying.
You mean for the podcast though?
I'm saying. Wouldn't you argue putting it into your craft will be the ultimate form of showing them that you did something with your life? Because they've already, your whole life before you turn 18, they have given you everything you've got today. So what's the difference between that and now?
It's just the fact that now, I mean,
You're a grown ass man.
now I'm a grown ass man, and now, I mean, you've gone through things that make you not necessarily want to rely on them. In fact, I'd arguably say that I want them to rely on me. But it's kind of.
But see, what you're not understanding is like from age, from the time you're a baby till now, they've already given you everything. So then once you hit a certain age, you will have the freedom that they have now.
Mm-hmm.
Because your parents are probably, I'm not saying exact age, but they're like 60 something or whatever, say 70 or something. I don't know. But let's say they're that age right now, right? As my parents are the same way, and grandparents, because I still have my grandparents or whatnot, or at least one of them, and then, I have my dad's side or whatnot. I don't really talk to them that very much often, but, they're cool people. I would say, they do everything they do right now for me, just as they do you, regardless of whether you accept it or not. And if you don't accept it, you're not accepting the love that they give you up to this point, because their whole purpose is to continue their legacy onto you. So eventually, anyway, you're going to get everything they have. You're just sort of slowing your process to the point where you're 60. And why are we waiting until we're 60 to take everything that we've worked for?
I can see what you're saying there.
If they built generational wealth for you, why don't you accept the wealth that they may have given you to build up a bigger legacy for the children that you have?
Because I know if I'm inevitably going to get it anyways. So hypothetically, at the end of the day, if I'm inevitably going to get it anyways.
At 60, where it doesn't necessarily matter because you're already... Cool.
Then why not spend some time trying to fight for it myself and build my own wealth? I'm going to get it anyways. Regardless, I have a safety net.
Because, for instance, right, you don't have to... What you're not understanding is the connection that comes with that money is also purpose too. So when they give you that money, how did they build that money? I'm sure they will share that with you.
Yeah.
And now you're on a whole different level that you could have been before. But we don't like to hear our parents' advice. I'm sure I don't. You don't. He don't. They say stuff all day. We think it's all bullshit. Just like we thought it was all bullshit when we was 14. Now we thought it was all bullshit when we were 10. And we thought it was all bullshit when we were 5. Because all we see is, if you don't goddamn go out there and cut that damn grass, if you don't go out there and get my hedges right, if you don't go out there and clean your goddamn car,
I know what this dude's thinking.
If you don't let them touch your stuff. But I'm just saying, like, we think it's all bullshit up until this time. Why are we wasting time not listening to people who've already made it? And when we could get a boost off, that's the whole point in life, right? Yeah. Is to get where you want to be. So, I'm not saying you got to follow your parents' dreams, but they may have a way to, like, your money is universal, right? It's not necessarily like the crap that you got, but the money that you build is sort of universal in the sense that my dollar is worth the same as his dollar.
Mm-hmm.
If they show you how to make $1, why don't you hear them out? If they give you the money that they spent, giving you your whole life, why don't you hear them out? They may have something with that money that you may not have thought about before. Like, for instance, they may give you $10K, but they're like, hey, here's how you save that money and accrue it to a different level. You've already spent 25 years, doing what you do. Probably a good 18 of that you were bullshitting. And then the next 7 you're becoming. But now by the time you hit 30, you're going to have a wife and kids. So it's like that 3 years, like, this is pretty much what you're using to change it. I'm not saying take the money and buy a bunch of cars. Bullshit. I'm saying invest it in your future, so then, like, your kids will start even better.
I get that, but I think y'all also have to focus on, like, training my own self-discipline and everything like that. Just imagine I feel like getting the money itself, just giving it to me, I wouldn't have proven to myself that
obviously I'm not arguing. They just throw you money at you.
Yeah, like
that's kind of crazy.
I haven't even proven to myself that I can even handle a big lump sum, even given to me. So it's like if I don't even prove to myself that I can handle something like that, if it was just given to me, I wouldn't be any different than those lottery winners that just got millions and then just blew it all off.
Because I've listened to people who talk about money, and they say, so if you were to get money today, they say like, you should already have gone through these circumstances at this age where you should have already known where you're going to put it. Not necessarily to save your debt, because you're just going to get that again, let's be honest, until you're probably about 30 and you start learning that dumb shit that you're doing. Because it takes a minute to kind of wind out the dumb shit that we all do. They both, as men who have problems, men who are depressed and all that stuff, we all do the same dumb shit again because we're all thick-headed and we don't know how to get out of our own heads. But, I would say, like, for instance, if you're doing this is something you're actually doing, right? I'm sure those painting business is something they're actually doing. I wouldn't argue stocks because that's a huge risk, or like stuff like that, but that's a huge risk. But this is like something that is feasible. I can actually grab this mic and move it around. This is a room that you're actually in, right? If you got 10K today and you knew you had to spend it in this room, what were you getting? I'm saying all of it is an investment.
That's fair. I mean, sure, we can get a new table, we can get a better TV, better studio lights, maybe actually have another.
I'm not arguing you should take everything at this moment. Obviously, if your moms have a bunch of money, like, I don't know, 100K or whatever, they're making 100K, you're 60K, you're 50K, you should take everything that they have right now for you in savings and all that. I'm saying, like, if they're willing to help you out, sometimes you should take it, because as men we don't get that very often.
That's true.
And we don't even know how to accept things when we're given it.
That's true. But then I also think to myself,
that's emotions, that's monetary gain, that's business proposals, that's working, that's helping with working out, that's helping with how to pay your car note properly, how to save, how to do anything. We just don't know how to accept the feelings that come with a lot of information that we get.
But what if the people who you're getting help from don't necessarily see the dream and that the vision that you're trying to present here?
As I've said, I personally think everybody's fake. I think they smile. I think every person, when they smile at you with a plan of how they already want to use you.
So what do I look like asking for help if they don't even see the vision? Why not make the vision a little bit more visible?
Well, see, the thing is,
why not make our first 25 cents?
Did anybody see the vision? That includes you. That includes your girlfriend. That includes your sister, your brother. Did anybody truly ever see the vision?
I mean,
or is
we change people's perspective about us every single day.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So,
I'm sure they don't see the vision yet.
Hey, I'm just saying they're starting to.
But here's the thing. Instead of worrying about if they see the vision, why don't you use all the resources you have to make the vision real?
See, this right here is what you'll find if you go to betterhelp.com/CaliKG. You'll be able to,
Why don't you take the resources that people have built for you for years and use them in a way? Because you're already doing it, right? If you didn't have us, 2/3 of this room wouldn't even be here.
Yeah.
You're using resources already.
This room wouldn't be here.
I'm about to say, if you didn't use the resources that people got you to talk to go, if you didn't use the class that your parents got you into when they got you into school, or like the gas that they used to drop you off, or like the house that they used to give you wouldn't be here right now.
But that turns from obligation to now not really an obligation.
It wasn't an obligation.
Wasn't it?
Let me argue this. Were they obligated to make you?
No.
So you're not an obligation.
No, but like when you have a kid,
it's as though you're not obligated to pay them back, because you can obviously mess them up. But I'm not arguing that. But I'm saying, like, you can just leave them to do what they do and perish. But you don't do that, because that's messed up, because they've spent their whole life making you who you are.
Yeah.
Right. And you obviously want to pay them back. and they obviously want to pay you back the same way because they're disrespecting their forefathers as the same as you're disrespecting them, and then it's a chain of thought. So like they're giving you stuff because the people before them wanted to give them stuff, and they're all building it up to the next generation of people.
Well, for the time being, at least, I'm just gonna chalk it up to this because I feel like we're running on this one a little bit long. For the time being,
like, subscribe now.
No.
That's okay.
Nah. For the time being, I'm just gonna say that right now, as I am currently feeling of what is it, June 3rd, 2025. It is admittedly a little bit harder to face my parents in this time, but we'll check in about a year from now. We'll see. Now, let's bring this. Let's bring this on to what do you call it, Kevin here. So that way, because I don't want to leave him out or anything. Let's see.
You know what? W for remembering my name this time.
Yeah, I always say
It's,
that. Other word.
Kevin Wolf. What's your topic? What's your?
I actually have 3 points of why most guys are depressed.
To our episode.
Nah, mine are straight to the point. Mine don't take forever.
No. I'm not saying yours take forever. I'm saying this seems like it's gonna be too.
Number one, I think most guys are sad and depressed because they don't have a purpose in life. And when you don't have a purpose, you tend to get into this self-destruct mode because you have too much time, you don't know what to do, or you're not given the proper guidance at a young age, which is technically what happens, which is why some people tend to turn to like religion, or they turn to a career, or they tend to turn to a hobby that ends up being a career. But a lot of men can't find it because they don't have the resources, the guidance, or the expertise to find what they actually like. Sometimes they just get lucky. But it's like a rare chance that, it occurs. And that's why most of them tend to just be sad and then stay at home and then do stuff that, it's not appropriate to themselves. That's point number one. Anyone got anything for that one?
Huh?
Anyone got anything for that one?
I don't know. I
agree.
I mean,
okay.
that's all I was saying. I'll just agree. I mean,
Okay.
So, for instance, because we haven't touched on religion, would you say that what would you say would be the ultimate form of spirituality to sort of come to a purpose?
Following the Bible and serving God in terms of the Bible or the Quran or the guitar, whichever one you prefer and is more connected with you.
I argue sometimes because I think about it like this now. It's a sort of, it can be motivating. Don't get me wrong, but it's also a structure for your life. So, I think you're finding things through the Bible. It's not necessarily telling, because that's why I feel like it gives you different stories. Or like real people, but I'm saying like they give you like sort of a telling of what happened. So they give you a telling what happened, so you can sort of find how you want to live your life, and that's through the Bible, through God, through the law, right? So, sometimes there's gonna be some dark times. I believe it's the story of Job, where he brought his son up to the mountain.
I'll keep going.
And his purpose in life probably was to protect his son from anything he could that would come about in life, right? And God said he might perish, and he's going up to the top of the mountain knowing that his son will most likely perish to succumb to everything going on, and when he gets to the top of the mountain, and he still does it anyway, right? He still goes to the mountain anyway. But this is all a lesson from God to tell him, hey, it's all
A test.
A test. Life's journey is a test in general.
Yeah.
Right? You might spend your whole life working on something and it might come all crumbling down. But it's the persistence to do it anyway through him that's your best route. So do everything with a, sort of holy structure. Not saying we're perfect, obviously. Everybody messes up. Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody loses themselves in some way, shape, or form. And they may even reframe things in the wrong light, like the Bible, to do things that aren't in the Bible, and they might manipulate the situation, all that stuff. That we understand that there's a lot of people who don't really use the Bible in the right light. But when it comes to the Bible, you want to structure it in a way that you can find your life's journey through the book, because it's the book of life. If you didn't know that, so.
That was well said. Well said.
Keontae, what about your
Anything? Or next point?
anything with the?
I'm gonna say next point on that. I agree.
Gosh, the next point, I think most guys are depressed nowadays because they don't have a brotherhood, not friends, but a group of brothers.
That is
that
true.
is actually there for you. And I don't mean the homie you hang out with a Saturday night at a bar. I'm talking about the homie that, hey, bro, did you go to the gym today? Nah, man, I was tired. No, you better get up. You better get up.
Yeah,
those are the friends you need.
The homie that won't even pick you up.
The one that's supposed to catch you. Call you. Well, you're gonna censor this. They're gonna call you on your bullshit. Those are the homies you need, not the ones that it's okay.
I probably don't even think we have to censor this at this point in the video.
No, I think what do you call it? I think that's true. I didn't even think about that. What do you call it? Not a lot of people about the whole loneliness epidemic, right? Like, not even a lot of people have a good support system or friend group. It goes back to talking to each other or talking to people or stuff like that. I mean, I'm lucky to have these two. I'm pretty sure they feel lucky to have us, or yeah, maybe not. I don't know. Either way, what do you call it? That's definitely a good point, because I see people who even tell me, like, dang, man, I wish, like, what do you call it? I had a brotherhood like you guys, or friends like you guys and stuff like that. With me, shoot, I know somebody right now who don't have that. And
sometimes I feel it's wild too, like how sometimes they worship, not worship, but I guess they sort of idolize that brotherhood, but then when it comes to making one themselves, they sort of choose the wrong people.
Yeah, that's why I says, like,
because they idolize because a lot of people, when you're looking at a relationship outside in, that includes any relationship really. They only see the good sides. Like on Instagram, it's captions. On YouTube, it's just a thumbnail. On in TikTok, it's just scrolling and you see a 30-second video. But you don't really get to see the hard times they go through with these type of things. We argue all the time. Me and them argue all the time.
We do.
We're not always on the same page. The whole idea is that we're all three different perspectives.
Hey, we don't argue.
Yeah, we don't argue. What are you talking about?
I'll kill you and your entire family. What?
Yes, sir.
Like I did in the last universe. But
yeah, guys, that's my second point.
No, for sure.
Y'all got anything else?
I think what do you call it? Yeah, no, it's never as peachy and cream as it seems on the surface, but at the same time, nothing ever is. And I feel like, what do you call it? That's just explains how much more brothers that we actually are. I mean,
because honestly, obviously, you and your, my bad, touched the mic too much. Obviously, you and your friends or your brothers or people that you're really down with, they probably agree with a lot of things you say. Don't get me wrong, they probably agree with a lot of things you do. But you're all different people, and I feel as though every person you integrate into your life is a little bit chaotic for you, because that one thing that they may have differently than you can probably change either you for the better or the worse.
Yeah, guys, like accountability. That's important.
Yeah, so like, if Keontae is the type of guy to drink, which he doesn't drink, I don't drink, and Kevin doesn't drink.
Good job.
For instance, if Keontae is the type of person to drink, I may feel is more likely to do things with him than he would probably feel to do with me, because I'm kind of restraining him in that way, whereas he's getting me to do the inhibition that he has. So the little things like that count too. For instance, like the way he feels about something may not be the way I feel about something. But
yeah,
when he's hurt, that also means like all those feelings kind of roll on to me too. Or like when he's feeling unambitious, those feelings run on to me. So like you have to know not necessarily when to use the people around you, but how to use their knowledge or the things they've gone through to sort of build yourself up. That's why you have 3 different perspectives on this channel, right? You know, I haven't gone through the same thing he has. He hasn't gone through the same thing he has. But we all come together in here to talk. So when they're talking about certain things that happen in their life, I may have never heard about. Probably have, because 90% of the conversation we have, we probably talked about everything. But you know, when they talk about their new days and stuff like that, and crazy stuff happens to them, and they tell me that they're going through some stuff I personally may not agree with, that only builds my frame up better, because you know they've experienced things that they can lay on to me, and I've experienced things that I can lay on to them. And that's the thing about brotherhood, right? They've learned certain things that I could probably multiply and do differently or better, or maybe even build upon, right? For instance, and I think brotherhoods are good to have. I also think they can also, if you choose the wrong people, be a hindrance to you. I think you should honestly come to cut certain people off if they really, really, really are hindering you. Like if you're up here building your money, building yourself, building your craft, and they are just laying around and not doing anything and sort of holding you back, and even trying to get you into some of the inhibitions and problems that they have, and sort of pull you back into that, I guess,
a hole of mediocrity.
Yeah, the mediocrity that they've gone through, and they don't accept the fact that you tell them no, or that you reject the actions that they're doing. Then I think you should probably push them away or not deal with it, because you can try and build them up. I'm sure you've probably given them the most love and appreciation that you probably can in that area, and try to build them up and stuff like that. One song I love though is Broski, because it kind of tells you, Broski by
Joyner Lucas,
right? It shows you like how people think when you're coming up, and then they all sort of start dwindling back down. I try and stay into my frame. You know, people talk to me, I talk to them the same way, whether they're rich, poor, you know, and I give them the same advice I would have given any of these two. But if they don't take it, I can't force them to take it. I can't force a man to drink if he don't want to drink. But if that person is so far down that they're hurt and all this other stuff, I think you should hear them out. You should put into them, but don't put it in them so much that you start losing yourself. Because two energies, emotional energy and logical frame, often the emotional energy wins because they have millions of different avenues. But when it comes to logic, you only have one place forward, right? You know, you only have one path. And they coming through with all these different avenues and attacking you, and it may bring you down. So stick to your frame, because once you lose your frame, it's hard to get back on it. And I know things are really getting bad for you guys out there, because obviously if things are getting like male loneliness, if people aren't really getting relationships as much as they used to, if people aren't able to do fitness as well as they used to, and if people aren't communicating with their families or their feelings, or you know, things like mental health are going down, then I believe like you should really sort of find where you want to be at, because you can't build other people up until you build yourself up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Any more, or can I go to that third one?
I think I mean, it's not really a big thing. I think also I mean, nowadays, you know, the world's changing. People are different. It was much easier to meet these guys back then than it is to,
as an adult.
Yeah, to meet somebody like now, because you got your own responsibilities. I mean, back then we were in high school, so it was kind of like
people really got walls up now. Like
yeah,
when you're an adult,
extremely.
The walls are like
so,
stone.
I mean, so really, what we have now is rare. So hey,
it's like jobs nowadays, right? Once you quit your job, it's hard to get back in a new one right now because of the way things are.
Yep.
And it's like that with friends too. Like once you leave a friend or leave a relationship or leave your family and stuff like that, it's really hard to find something that will fill that void, because there's pillars to life, and one of them is communicating with people around you, like brothers and stuff like that, and that it can really bring you to
Yep.
issue.
All right, next topic.
All right, and my final one. This is probably the most controversial, but there's logic behind it. Is guys have this obsession to chase happiness.
Okay.
Like happiness, the feeling itself. Like they don't have a plan. They don't have like, okay, this is the mission, or this is the career, or this is the end goal. They're like, I just want to be happy.
You mean like my bad.
Now go ahead.
You mean like, for instance, it's not necessarily about a guy, but you know, you ask a girl what they want to do, and they say, what they like to do. I like to travel. Oh, well then, how do you?
Yeah,
travel?
and then they're like, I don't know. I'm just gonna find out later. Yeah, because the issue with happiness is an emotion, and it switches up real quick, and it's not really a way to measure things. So you're constantly in this stagnant of, I'm not happy. And 9 times out of 10, if you only chase happiness, you'll never be happy. Which is, a fallacy that a lot of people tell you to chase now. Just focus on being happy. Don't worry. Let everything else go. Just smile. Just be happy and stuff. And I'm like, bro, that's not realistic.
I'd say you should build an environment where you were more often than not happy. So like if you're in your career that you want to be in and it's making you a lot of money and you're taking care of your wife and kids, that probably doesn't make you happy every day, all day, but more than likely you'll have more options to be happy. Like you'll have more opportunities to be happy.
Yeah, like
so you shouldn't chase happiness but joyfulness and like probably a form of fulfillment.
I'd say don't chase happiness, chase objectives that the side effect would be happiness. Like, I want to make a lot of money. The money probably doesn't make you happy. But you know what? When you take her out shopping and it's a woman you genuinely love and has earned that type of stuff from you, and you can say, I want this, okay. And they're like all happy and stuff, then you get satisfaction from that. So I say make happiness a side effect.
I'm about to say
from objectives.
Money doesn't create happiness, but it's a damn good down payment. That's how the quote goes.
Or even better, the day you finally pull everything off and you can call your mom. Hey, Mom, you can quit your job now. She's like, what you mean? I'm like, I'm going to retire you. You probably don't feel happy from, I made $300,000. But you know what? When you could tell her, here's this year's rent money. This year's. Or here is your house. And you don't feel anything from it? Boom. You just did it without trying to chase the happiness objective. Which is like I think most men need to stop being lied to about.
Yeah, I think also like happiness can be sort of you don't know how to accept things the way they are in a lot of ways, like receive things. So like men are okay with a lot of things because we're told that when we have power we're in control, and that when we're in control we're bad people. So when for instance, like he's talking about when you call your mom and you tell her, hey, I'll pay off everything, don't worry about it, you got a new house, you got a new car, whatnot, right? A lot of times for us we don't get that sort of, I guess, gift, because for us, if we do get it, it'll probably be when we're old or our parents are old, and they give us their sort of wealth or whatnot, or whatever they have to give, and they leave this earth. Well, you're not going to be happy in that moment. You may be fulfilled and you have peace, because what it is like your life's purpose is sort of given by the sort of lessons and wisdom and love and intelligence and strength that they gave you when you were younger, and now you sort of built it up by yourself or with other people, or on some kind of foundation that they've given you up to this point. So I think you should build a foundation that's not necessarily always going to make you happy, but one that gives you the sort of stance that can make you happy more often than not. And when you're more happy often than not, that means you probably built a peaceful situation for yourself outside of just being a nomad. Yante?
My mind went blank. I'm sorry.
I often have that appeal on people.
Yeah, his mind went.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm trying to help you guys out, all right? Because the only way we can help you, you know, be happy is if you like and subscribe to the video. Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir. You always get the damn year. Yes, sir. All right, and I'll do it again.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's your boy, Cali KG, post editing. I just wanted to say to all the men out there, happy Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. I know a lot of people are going through things, and life isn't nearly the easiest for men and women, but, you know, since it's June, we're going to stick to that. Things aren't easy out there, but I want you guys to know that you aren't alone. This episode was pretty uncut and kind of just straightforward. Didn't want to do too many over-the-top edits because they didn't want to take away from how serious the topic at hand actually was. More vulnerable than I probably would have ever been on this one. And I know a lot of people are going through a lot of things, so I just want you guys to know that despite what you're going through, just keep your head up. You guys are doing good, and keep on fighting. Things will get better. And if they are already better, keep on going. Maintain it. And if nobody else has said it, I'm proud of you. You guys got this. Like, subscribe, keep on living your life, pursuing your dreams. And hey, remember, you don't have to be great to start. You just have to start to be great.